everybody. I'm here today, Elise, with my sister Ava. Welcome back to the Angel Baby Show. And today we have a very special guest, Siobhan Fallon Hogan. You may know her from movies like Men in Black and Forrest Gump, as well as shows like SNL and Seinfeld. I actually interviewed her 2 years ago for her film Rushed back in 2021. She is a fabulous actress, writer, and producer, and I'm so excited to have you today. Welcome in.
Thank you so much, Elise. And hi, Ava. I didn't get to meet you 2 years ago, but I'm really happy to be on your show.
Hi, thank you for coming in.
I love that you're a family affair. You know, my movie Shelter and Solitude is a big family affair. It's my husband's
Yes.
the producer, my son is a producer, and he's also in it and the music supervisor. And my daughter, Sinead, is 21 and she's a production designer and she's an actress in it as well. So I love working with family, and obviously you two do as well.
Yes, I know. That was actually something that we were going to talk to you about. As the Angel Baby Show, we got the name from our mom, and then you were just telling us that
Yes,
you called your daughter Angel Baby.
completely angel baby. I would even use it, endearingly. But then when there was ever temper tantrums, I'd be like, okay, angel baby. And then she'd kind of look like, you know. Yes, I love that angel babies.
Oh
Oh
Yes.
my
my
God.
gosh. Well,
And I'll tell you, we're into the home stretch here with the movie. You know, we open a week from today, and it is, you know what it's like working together. Sometimes it can be fabulous and sometimes it's just tense. So it's like you learn every facet of your family. It's that can be a little rough. Right now we're like exhausted because we just got back from Nashville, our big premiere. So we're running on fuels.
Well, I
literally.
love that I love that so many of your films have kind of been about this family effort and family forward. And I think it comes from maybe just working with family and being close to family. And I think as sisters, we do a ton of work together. And I really like any movie that kind of sends that sentiment. Would you like to share a little bit more about like what inspired you to write this film specifically and how it's a little different from Rushed or how it's similar to Rushed?
Absolutely. So I'm from a big family, 5 kids. I was the second kid. And upstate New York, I grew up outside of Syracuse, Casanova. My dad and I were really, really close. He was really funny, but tough. He kind of like a big, tall Tip O'Neill. People always said Bill Fallon should take it on the road. He was so funny. He was an attorney. And so he represented a lot of prisoners. And so he would tell us about them at the dinner table. And I was kind of like fascinated. I was also afraid. Sometimes I'd go to bed at night and be like, oh, I hope they don't come in the house. And so, but he also wanted me to be a country singer. So when I finished Rushed, I had no idea how hard it was to produce. And, when you're acting in a film and then you're producing, you're on camera acting, crying or laughing or whatever. And then in between, they're like, okay, let's reset and get the lighting. My director, Vivica Massage, is Danish, okay, Siobhan Fallon Hogan, get ready. And I would be texting my husband, are the porta potties clean? When's the lunch coming? 15 minutes to lunch. We don't want to go into overtime. So it's like completely balancing both hats. So once Rushed, we finished the edit. Then we had to do in France, where Sabine Emiliani, our editor's from. Then we had to go into the sound edit, which was then remote because it was COVID. And so when the film finally ended, I'll never forget, it was April 24th, 2021. And I thought, I am taking a break. I'm exhausted. And around May 1st, I was in bed, of course, not sleeping, thinking, hope the movie does well, Rushed. And this idea came to me. I thought, what if a guy's on death row and a washed up country singer becomes his prison guard? And then I said, wait a minute, I have to get Robert Patrick in it. Robert Patrick from The Terminator, Walk the Line, who played my husband in Rushed, because I love working with him. He's such a great actor. And he's a real man's man. He's right for a gruff guy, especially for the warden. He's fantastic in the movie. So I was like, he can be the warden. So literally the next morning I got up and I looked at the piece of paper that I scribbled down, like when people do when they have a dream or something. And I said, I'm going to write this. And it came out in 3 weeks. I think it was a miracle. Well, Rush came out in 2021. 3 weeks later, we started filming Shelter and Solitude. So it was
Wow.
crazy. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Oh,
And when you get an idea like that and it's so fresh in your mind, do you just kind of throw yourself into it for 3 weeks straight? Does that always happen to you, or was that just a specific
I
once
mean,
in
the
a
crazy
lifetime?
part is, well, I wrote one woman shows over the years when I didn't have work, because so
Mhm.
when I first started out in my 20s, like you girls, I was weird looking and I had a weird deep voice. They were like, look, you're not going to work till you're in your 40s. And I was like, I'm not waiting for that. So I wrote a 1-person show of all the characters I'd want to play. And I put it on like in the lobby of the building, and I hoodwinked like reviewers. And I said, hey, I'm doing this off Broadway. Well, I had rented the lobby out of a off Broadway theater. So people thought I had an off Broadway show, but I really was only on the lobby on Monday nights when the theater was dark. So over the years, whenever there would be a lull, like, after I had 3 kids, I was like, maybe a little bit out of the loop. I'd write a 1-woman show and then would kind of pick my career up again. So my youngest daughter, Sinead, so my kids are Bernadette's 28. She's a big journalist in New York City. She was the City Hall bureau chief for the New York Post. She just left, and now she's on camera for New York One. She looks more like my husband. She's more for on camera. So my son Peter is just turned 25, and my daughter Sinead 21. So when she was about to go to college, I thought to myself, what am I going to do with myself? I can't cook. I'm terrible at cleaning. And as a character actress, you only really work like 4 months out of the year. Now you try to pretend you're working more. Like people are like, what are you doing? I'm like, oh, I'm working on nothing. And they're like, what's up next? I'm like, going to get an ice cream cone. So, okay. So I thought, well, I should try to write a movie because I've been in enough of them. And I always tell young kids, I say, listen, I didn't know one thing about writing a movie, but I knew that I'd been in them. People would be like, oh, I really like the way the A story flowed into the B story. And then when the C story, I was like, what in God's name is that? I don't even know what it was. So I just winged it. So when Shelter and Solitude came along, I was like, I know what I'm doing. Now, I'm not so good at endings, I will tell you that. And I actually don't really love the ending of Rushed. This movie, like we just got back from Nashville, and you'll be interested in this. So because I have young kids, it makes me look like I'm on the pulse and I'm hip, and I'm about the least hip person that you'll ever meet in your life. Now, if I lowered the camera, you'll see that I'm pretty much almost in my pajamas. I told you I left my makeup in Nashville. I'm sitting in bed, and my old dog, Trudy, who's actually in the movie because we named the town Trudyville. So, okay, so my kids are like, my son's like, Mom, you need to have really good country singers if you're going to be a washed up country singer. So he got me in with Justin Biltonen from Three Doors Down. And I sing a song with him. They're like major. Matter of fact, in Nashville at the premiere, Tuesday night, I was on the underground rooftop singing with him. I was like, I have arrived. And Todd Cameron, then in the movie, for hip young people like yourselves, is Rob Banks, fabulous rapper, who's Shaggy's son, but on his own, he doesn't need to be called someone's son. He's fabulous. And Fat Nick. Fat Nick was actually played one of the drug dealers in Rushed. So they're these fabulous actors. But so we go out to Nashville for the premiere, and you're thinking, it's like having a baby. You're like, oh, I hope the birth goes well. I hope I don't have to have a C-section. I hope my baby's healthy. So you go and I have this premiere, and there is young and old. There's rappers like Clever's there, who writes for Post Malone and Justin Bieber. And there's born again Christians. I'm a big Catholic because Nashville's like really born again Christian. There's every religion. My Jewish friends are there. It's like this eclectic group. I'm like, Patty Heaton's there from Every Loves Raymond. It's like insane. And I'm sitting there, and it's like an out of body experience. And the movie they're getting it, and they're laughing really hard at the jokes that like I make fun of, like a little bit like the born again Christians. They make fun of the Catholics. We make fun of, I'm scared of the trailer park, and I am this washed up country singer who sang in Nashville once, which I was easily able to write because, when you're a character actor, sometimes you're up, like I said, Men in Black, people are like, oh, she's cool, hang around with her. And then you have a couple of years off, and like people are like, yeah, I don't really want to hang around with her. She's probably done, because sometimes people in this industry are about as deep as nothing. So they're like, well, you think, I thought I was really friends with you when we were on that set. But once you're like, not flavor of the month anymore, not on Saturday Night Live, they're like, who cares about her? So I was able to write about a woman who sang in Nashville just once, one night. But she's such an egomaniac that her bar is all posters of herself from that one night. So she's like Mrs. Havisham. I don't know, from Wuthering, like she's like, basically living in the past.
Mm-hmm.
And she treasures that one night. And she's kind of a cougar wannabe, but no one will have her. And she's not exemplary in any way. She swears and she drinks too much. But when she has the opportunity to guard a man on death row who's an African American, and you think the story is going to be like, oh, she's the Great White Hope. She's in no way that way. He's her inspiration, and he's this beautiful person. And you see below all that rough around the edges is this gorgeous woman inside who's charitable and kind. Same with Robert Patrick's character. So, Robert has been in every movie under the sun. He didn't need to do my movie. I'm paying people about $2.50 a week. But he loved it because he's like, Siobhan, this is a movie about love, hope, faith, but not in an icky way. It's these rough around the edge characters who are a common bond of making this prisoner's last 10 days of his life worthwhile. So that's why I think every walk of life is loving it. And that's why we got the call. So imagine me sitting in my house, we're self-producing, self-distributing, and I get an email from AMC, had seen the screener, and they're like, we want to pick up your movie and have a wide release. And shortly after that, Regal. And everybody in my neighborhood was like, was someone murdered in the Hogan's house? Because what's all the screaming going on over there?
That's and I'm so curious with the way that you described this washed up country singer. Like, I can just picture her. I can picture the bar. Were there any specific roles or people that you I feel like a lot of actors, when they're taking on a role, they think of someone in mind that they're trying to embody. Was there anyone you were kind of impersonating at all? Or
Well, it is hilarious at my stage of the game because some of my close friends think that they've still got it. And believe me, they don't. And they will try to like rock a dress that is like no business. My mother used to be like, kids. Now look at that woman. Imagine her thinking she could pull that dress off. Like in the movie, I'm like showing a little too much cleavage, a little kind of gross, fleshy. Like I got the long eyelashes on and, doing the hair up and wearing the high heels. Like she thinks she's got it going on and she does not, but she thinks she does. She's like, listen, I just want to tell you, I love you so much. And she's got her built-in audience, and because she's a big fish in a teeny tiny little town, her ego's been fed. But now the bar shuts down and she's a people person, and she's single because no one would have her because she was too much. As they say in the movie, he says, how come you never married? And I said, well, I don't know. And he says, and she pauses. She says, well, my daddy always said it's because I had unearned effervescence and I intimidated the boys. In other words, she thinks she's unbelievable, but it's unearned. It's sad. It's sad, but it's funny. See, but she doesn't feel sorry for herself. She just is a little pathetic. So then the audience kind of like loves her.
Yeah, I kind of love her.
Oh yeah, I'm already obsessed with this character.
And people can see this, can watch the trailers, by the way, on the Regal YouTube channel and on the AMC YouTube channel. And for people your age, now, listen, I know nothing about followers. I mean, Instagram disaster and these, whatever they are. But people need to follow us because we depend on that social media at Shelter in Solitude or at Siobhan Fallon Hogan to spread the word and watch this YouTube trailer and just get the word out because we need people out next weekend. And I'll be on the Seth Meyers show Wednesday night. I'll be on Good Day New York. So I'm just tap dancing, getting, trying to get the word out.
No, that's perfect. Sure. And we plan on airing the trailer in this radio segment too, so they can listen and tune into.
Oh, I also want to give a big shout out to Peter Macon, who plays the prisoner. He is superb. He's like a young James Earl Jones, and he knocks it out of the ballpark. And for Broadway lovers, Michael Oberhauser, who plays the young guy who I tried to pick up, but it will have nothing to do with me. He was nominated for a Tony for Take Me Out. And Dan Castellaneta, who's the voice of Homer Simpson's in it, and my good friend Patty Scanlon. We have an amazing cast, and my son Peter Hogan, of course, is Chris, and my daughter Sinead. Sinead plays a hippie. And in Rush, she plays Jake's Weary's girlfriend, who's a cokehead. And she's like, Mom, are you trying to say something to me? I'm a good girl. First the druggie, then the hippie.
Oh my gosh.
Do I don't know. My sister is a musician, and so she can talk a little bit more about the country music, but I'm just kind of curious after the little tidbit. You have a great Southern accent. And we used to live in North Carolina, so we
Oh,
kind of know that. But say you grew up in upstate New York.
yes.
Did you kind of grow up listening to country music? Were you very
Yes.
familiar with the industry? And
So my dad was obsessed with Johnny Cash. My dad was obsessed um Tennessee Ernie Ford, Loretta Lynn. He just loved that. And then back in the day, they used to have these big cassettes, like almost the size of my laptop, that they would put in. And I remember one time I popped it out. He drove a big black Cadillac, and the tape came out, and then you would have thought, that the wheel fell off his car. But yeah, so
wow.
I just love country music, but it's crazy because my son like loves rap, and I've grown this great appreciation because both are so kind of intertwined, and I'm Irish descent. Both tell stories. So that's the kind of music I love, a good story.
Mm-hmm.
And when we flew out to Nashville and I got to record with Todd Cameron and I got to record Justin Biltonen's song, Heartache Rodeo, and then Soul in These Boots was Todd's, I was like in the sound booth and I was like, this is a real lesson for like, I'm sure your mom is probably younger than me, but like to not, I raised my kids and I brought my kids everywhere with me when I did movies or whatever, but I said no to a lot of movies because I wanted to be with my kids. And
Mm-hmm.
so it just is for like women my age, there's a whole new career path out there once you raise your kids, and you never really finish raising your kids. So I mean, I'm in Nashville with like one eye open thinking, are they going to come off whatever that street is, Broadway, or Mike, what do you have
Broadway.
going on? What is happening?
That's
But I love to
hilarious.
do that. I'm in
I
another movie that I play a Boston prison secretary with Anne Hathaway coming up in December. I'm sorry, I interrupted you. What did you want to say?
Oh my gosh, no, I was just gonna ask about the recording process
Oh,
in Nashville. I just feel like that's such a like unique,
And
amazing
I do
experience.
want to hear about the Anne Hathaway film
Yes,
after.
yes.
yes.
Sorry.
Okay, the recording was unbelievable. So it was like everything that you see on TV or that I guess people that are musicians do, and I got to do it. So like I get to the sound studio and this Todd Cameron's there and he's like, got this big cowboy hat. He's like, okay, ready to record? And I was like, sure. And anyway, and the engineer's there, and I'm like, all of a sudden I have like this mini panic attack, and I'm like, uh-oh, I'm not really a singer. And we call this washed up country singer. So I get in that booth, and my mother, who passed away just shortly before, she was 97 and just before the movie. And I remember her saying, now, Siobhan, you can sell a song. So you just fake it. So I was in that and I just started rocking like I was a country singer. My son snuck in and videotaped me. It's like from behind, I was like, and if I was a rodeo. And I would just do like, and I would just like do fake stuff. But so the Anne Hathaway movie, yeah. So, that was another thing. So right after we finished filming Shelter in Solitude, our editor first gets the movie and she takes a shot at editing it without me there in a linear way. So there was no flashbacks. There's a lot of flashbacks. It was just told in a straightforward way. And it's just like dating. When you're thinking, I do not want to go on another date with some bozo, I thought, I don't want to work right now. I'm exhausted. It was after Christmas. And of course I get a call about this film that William Aldroyd was directing, and I love him. And it was Anne Hathaway and Thomas and Mackenzie, and they wanted me to play this Boston tough prison secretary. And I was like, oh, I love this. And it was freezing. And I'm from Syracuse, so I'm used to cold, but it was a cold snap in New Jersey. But anyway, it was great. And it was a big Sundance hit this year, and it will be coming out in December.
Oh, nice.
Well, it was so great hearing a little bit more about Shelter in Solitude, which will be released in theaters October 6th this
Yes.
year. If you want to share any more about where we can find it, and then also a little bit about the movie with Anne Hathaway coming out in December, where to watch, where to follow.
Yes, and I know you're out in California, so it's going to be not just at the Regals and the AMCs, but it's going to be at the Lemley in Santa Monica. It's going to be a lot of independents. So just, if you want to go to the Regals with AMCs, you can buy the tickets now. They're on sale. Check out the trailer on Regal or AMC. Go to our Instagram at Shelter in Solitude, and we come out and support us because we're an independent. And if we do well the first weekend, we'll be back. And I have another one that I'm writing And we will be back with a great, beautiful message that's American, hopeful, and puts all problems aside, all differences. And it's a story of love and hope and redemption.
Awesome. I love to hear that.
Thanks, girls.
Thank you so much. It was great talking to you.
Great talking to you.
wait
You're
see
lucky
the
to get to work
film.
together. And nice seeing you again.
Yes.
All right, toodaloo.
Nice to meet you.
Bye-bye, angel babies.
Bye.